Hello and welcome to Last Week Tonight. Tonight we're diving into a story that's got it all: international intrigue, land disputes, and a healthy dose of Donald Trump. That's right, folks, the former president is back in the news, and this time he's got South Africa in his sights. Trump recently announced a complete halt to U.S. aid to South Africa, a move that has sent shockwaves through the international community. This decision has not only political but also humanitarian implications. This decision has far-reaching consequences, particularly for South Africa's HIV/AIDS treatment program, PEPFAR. The program has been a lifeline for millions. This program relies heavily on U.S. funding, and the sudden cut has raised serious concerns about the future of HIV/AIDS treatment in the country. The abrupt halt could lead to a shortage of essential medications. While the South African government maintains that it can handle the purchase of necessary medications, civil society organizations are worried. They argue that the government alone cannot fill the gap left by the U.S. aid. These organizations depend on U.S. aid for crucial aspects of HIV/AIDS prevention and education. Without this support, their outreach efforts could be severely hampered. Their work is now in jeopardy. The potential for increased HIV/AIDS cases is a real and pressing concern. The impact of Trump's decision is already being felt on the ground. Communities are anxious, and healthcare workers are scrambling to find solutions. It's a stark reminder of the power of U.S. aid and the potential consequences when that aid is abruptly withdrawn. The international community watches closely as the situation unfolds. So why did Trump decide to pull the plug on aid to South Africa? What could have driven such a drastic decision? Well, buckle up, because this is where things get interesting. The reasons behind this move are as complex as they are controversial. Trump cited several reasons for his decision, each more eyebrow-raising than the last. It's a mix of domestic politics, international relations, and ideological battles. First on the list is South Africa's land reform policy, specifically the controversial Expropriation Act. This policy has been a hot topic for years. This act aims to address the legacy of apartheid by redistributing land from white to black ownership. It's seen as a necessary step by many to correct historical injustices. Trump, in his infinite wisdom, has labeled this policy confiscating and a form of racist discrimination against white South Africans. He's not alone in this view, but it's highly contentious. He's even gone so far as to suggest that white South Africans are facing persecution and should seek refuge in the U.S. This claim has sparked a lot of debates and reactions globally. Adding fuel to the fire, Trump has also accused South Africa of supporting Hamas, Russia, and Iran, a claim that South Africa vehemently denies. These accusations have further strained relations. Finally, Trump has taken issue with South Africa's recent case against Israel at the International Court of Justice, ICJ. This legal battle has drawn international attention. This case accuses Israel of committing genocide in Gaza, a stance that has put South Africa at odds with Israel and its allies, including the U.S. The geopolitical implications are significant and far-reaching. Let's unpack this Expropriation Act, shall we? This piece of legislation has sparked intense debate and controversy, both within South Africa and internationally. This act, passed by the South African government, is designed to tackle the deep-seated land inequalities that have plagued the country since the days of apartheid. The legacy of apartheid left a significant portion of the land in the hands of a small, predominantly white minority, while the black majority was systematically dispossessed. The act allows the government to seize land in certain circumstances, particularly when it comes to land that is not being used or is deemed to be in the public interest. This is seen as a way to redistribute land more fairly and to ensure that it is used productively. Now, before you go clutching your pearls, it's important to note that the South African government insists that any expropriation will follow a lawful process. They emphasize that this is not a free-for-all land grab, but a structured and legal approach to land reform. This means that in most cases, landowners will receive fair market compensation for their property. The government aims to balance the need for land reform with the rights of current landowners. Uncompensated expropriation, according to the government, would only be used in extreme cases, such as when landowners are untraceable or when the land is abandoned and not being used for any productive purpose. Despite these assurances, the Expropriation Act has faced criticism, not just from Trump, but also from figures like Elon Musk. Critics argue that the act could lead to economic instability and deter foreign investment. Musk, who was born in South Africa, has called the policy racist and accused the government of seizing land without proper justification. His comments have added fuel to the already heated debate. The South African government, however, remains adamant that the Expropriation Act is a necessary step towards righting historical wrongs and creating a more equitable society. They argue that without such measures, the country cannot move forward. They argue that the act is not about punishing white South Africans, but about addressing the legacy of apartheid and ensuring that all citizens have equal access to land and opportunity. The goal is to create a more just and balanced society where everyone has a fair chance to thrive. In the wake of Trump's accusations and the subsequent aid cut, the South African government has come out swinging. They've labeled Trump's claims misinformation and propaganda, accusing him of meddling in their internal affairs. South African officials have vehemently denied any support for Hamas, Russia, or Iran, pointing to their long history of upholding international law and cooperating with the international community. As for the Expropriation Act, South Africa has defended its land reform policy, comparing it to eminent domain laws that exist in many countries, including the United States. They argue that the act is a legitimate tool for addressing historical injustices and that it is being implemented in a fair and transparent manner. South Africa has also questioned the timing of Trump's offer for white South Africans to seek refuge in the U.S., suggesting that it's a politically motivated attempt to sow division and create panic. Section 5. Diplomatic Efforts and International Law. Despite the diplomatic spat, South Africa has opted for a measured response, focusing on diplomacy and engagement to address the situation. President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced plans to send envoys to the United States to meet with U.S. officials and explain South Africa's policies in detail. These envoys will reiterate South Africa's commitment to international law and cooperation, particularly in the context of its case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. They will emphasize that South Africa's pursuit of this case is rooted in its obligations under the Genocide Convention, a treaty to which both South Africa and Israel are signatories. The envoys will also seek to clarify South Africa's stance on land reform, emphasizing that the Expropriation Act is not a land grab, but a carefully considered policy designed to address historical injustices and promote social cohesion. Back in South Africa, Trump's pronouncements have been met with a mixture of anger and defiance. Across the political spectrum, South Africans have condemned Trump's interference in their internal affairs, accusing him of hypocrisy and double standards. The Economic Freedom Fighters, a left-wing political party, has dismissed Trump's allegations as lies and propaganda, accusing him of trying to protect the interests of white South Africans at the expense of the black majority. The ruling African National Congress has also come out strongly against Trump's statements, vowing that South Africa will not be bullied by foreign powers. They have called on all South Africans to unite against what they perceive as an attack on the country's sovereignty and independence. Even organizations that have been critical of the South African government's land reform policy have distanced themselves from Trump's remarks. They argue that while they may have concerns about the implementation of the Expropriation Act, they do not believe that it justifies foreign interference or the cutting of aid, particularly aid that is crucial for HIV/AIDS treatment. To truly understand the complexities of the land issue in South Africa, we need to delve into the country's troubled past. For centuries, South Africa was ruled by a system of racial segregation and discrimination known as apartheid. Under apartheid, the white minority held all the political and economic power, while the black majority was subjected to systemic oppression and dispossession. One of the most egregious aspects of apartheid was the forced removal of black South Africans from their ancestral lands, which were then handed over to white ownership. This legacy of land dispossession continues to cast a long shadow over South Africa today. Despite the end of apartheid in 1994, the vast majority of land in South Africa remains in the hands of the white minority, while many black South Africans struggle to access land and economic opportunities. South Africa has repeatedly asserted its right to an independent foreign policy, one that is guided by its own national interests and its commitment to international law. This stance has often put South Africa at odds with the United States and other Western powers, particularly on issues like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and relations with countries like Russia and Iran. South Africa has defended its foreign policy choices, arguing that it will not be dictated to by any country, and that it will continue to engage with all nations based on principles of mutual respect and cooperation. They point to their role in mediating conflicts, promoting human rights, and upholding international law as evidence of their commitment to a more just and equitable world order. The recent diplomatic row has undoubtedly strained relations between the US and South Africa. It has also highlighted the challenges of navigating complex global issues in an increasingly polarized world. Whether the two countries can repair their relationship and find common ground remains to be seen. However, one thing is clear. Dialogue, diplomacy, and a commitment to understanding each other's perspectives will be crucial for moving forward. That's our show for tonight. We'll be right back after these messages.
So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's turn the page on a new adventure together. Get ready to experience books like never before, only on VBook 360. Like, comment, and share to support the channel and keep the video magic alive. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, every video has a story, and every story deserves to be shared. See you in the next video.